Hey guys, this is Brave, coach of the Migrating Melodics. Our season in Thrifty Tussle is over, so I kind of wanted to give you guys a review of the team, how things went, and yeah, so kind of give you my opinions of the mons I brought this season, and yeah, hopefully I can give you guys some insights on strategies I used and things that I think went really well and things that I think that maybe I could have done better. So yeah, without further ado, let's have a look at what our team did this season. So first of all, a disclaimer. Everything that I'm saying here is obviously based on my play experience throughout the season. I might say that some months for me they didn't work really well, while others did really well in my team. But obviously that's all based on my personal opinion, how I worked in preparation with the months and so on. So I'm definitely not going to say that, okay, this mon was really bad, please don't use it at all. No, it doesn't work that way. Obviously different mons work in different ways, and especially the team composition is very important when you draft a team, especially in draft league, because I mean obviously you draft one and you got to use it the whole season. So yeah, no intention to bash on some mons during this video. Okay, so let's have a look at our results this season. So we won 4 of our 9 games and we lost 5. We had a quite bad differential, -15. I think, I mean, to summarize it, if we won, it was most of the times pretty close. And if we lost pretty hard. We played against most of the teams that ended up above us. I think only, let's see, Barcelona Malamets, they ended underneath us. Oh yeah, and the Charizards as well. Yes, let's see. Oh, and the Nova Scotia side. Okay, so we did play quite some teams that were also underneath us, but yeah, most of the teams you see here, they eventually ranked above us. So yeah, it was quite a rough schedule, but I don't think we did really bad. This was obviously a format we've never played before, and I think that goes for many of the coaches in here. It was a form of low tier. So yeah, some mons are really good, some mons are really bad, but a lot of the high tier mons were not in this league, so it was kind of like difficult to see what would really work well for our team. And I think, yeah, that kind of reflected in how we played at the end. A lot of times we found ourselves like kind of guessing what is good here, what is bad here. But yeah, we kind of, let's go over the schedule a little bit more into detail here. So the first week we played against Malamats, against our fellow commissioner of the league, Fayak, and yeah, we completely misread what they were going to bring. We prepped really hard for one thing, but then they brought I think it was Tentacruel, which we had no clue that was coming, and that would be so well working against our team. So yeah, things like that happened throughout the season, I think, a lot, where we would plan for something and then in the end something else came and kind of just like ran through our team. So this is definitely something, I mean, experience-wise, I think you can get better by playing more. And yeah, the more you play, the more you get to know different mons and different sets. But yeah, in this season, we were a bit overwhelmed, I think, by a lot of things the other coaches brought, obviously because they have more experience playing Pokemon competitively and in draft league. So yeah, I think for us it was actually quite a good learning school, where we learned a new a few new things about Pokemon in general, like some abilities and some moves. Yeah, some coverage moves we didn't know about, or like even like general things like EV training. Those things I think really are something you need to control really well if you want to be successful in draft. And I think this is all part of like a learning process we're going through as a team. Well, as a player, I mean, with our team. So yeah, those are definitely things I need to work on. But I would say like our end result was 8th place, which like barely clutched us the playoff, so we were really lucky to make it. I think we had to wait until like the final game, which was the Kyogre Canucks versus the CNY Charizards, and if the Charizards would have won, we were not even in playoffs. I have to say, I think when we played the Middle Village Pit-Offs, I think in the video I said, okay, we're out of playoffs now. So, I mean, for me, it was quite a big surprise that we made it to the quarterfinals, in which we lost against the #1 seed, the Spine-Chilling Gengars. So, yeah, to make it there was actually quite a result for me personally, because, like I said, it's been a learning process, the whole road. Starting from week 1 up to week 9, we learned so many things, and I think it made us better in the end. So as a result, I would say I'm quite satisfied. I really wish to fix the differential thing, though. I think if we lose, it should be more close. That is definitely something I want to work on in future seasons. Okay, and then I would also like to go over the team. So let's have a look. All my mons, I've ranked them from 10 to 1. And here is the number 10 mon, Mantine. Mantine, let me first, before going into Mantine, tell you that I'm going to talk about the good things about each mon, the bad things, and some good plays that I did with the mon in question. So over here you can see Mantine. What was really good about Mantine is that it had a lot of potential. When drafting it, I looked at its stats, and it has a high special defense stat, which I think was very attractive to me. Offensive wise, it's not really a big threat. It gets amazing coverage though. The good thing about it is definitely the potential. It has access to Tailwind. It has like a crazy physical move pool, though its attack stat is like almost nothing, you know. But I thought maybe I could make use of it and like give it like sometimes a weakness policy, so that if it get procced, I would be able to maybe like do some damage with like things like Earthquake, which it gets access to, which is kind of crazy. But in the end, as you can see, the bad things, it's really weak to electric moves, times 4 damage. And yeah, I was thinking of using weakness policy, but when I then did the calcs, it would not survive. So yeah, that was kind of like a sad thing about Mantine, is that yeah, to make it work, I had to go through so many conditions to set it up, which made it like really hard for me. Also speed wise, I said that it's a tailwind setter, but it's one of the slower tailwind setters. So to set tailwind, I think you need to be fast and move first, so you can set the tailwind and make your partner fast, which it could not really do. So speed wise, Mantine was a bit of a problem. It gets access to Swift Swim, but yeah, setting Rain was also kind of a problem, because again, it's quite slow. And then the last thing is, it's not Mantike. Mantike I used in my Feisty Friends league, and I mean, that mon was amazing. It has like almost the same special defense bulk as Mantine. So Mantine is actually not as good as Mantike in my opinion. Mantike is just really easy to use in the little cub format. So yeah, I would definitely like consider drafting Mantine again over Mantine. Maybe I can draft Mantine again in the future, but maybe part of, yeah, I don't know, something more of a team together with another rain setter, so that it's immediately doubles in speed and can do more. And then last, the best play of Mantine. Well, I didn't really write anything because I didn't bring it a lot. A lot of the times I just benched it because I didn't see any use for it. Except maybe my quarterfinal. I made a slideshow before I played my quarterfinal. So I might actually mention Mantine in here because I did some prep matches with other coaches. And yeah, in there it did fairly well because it could set the tailwind. And then together with Seismitoad, it did really well. But in the end, if you've seen my quarterfinal video, you'll see that it didn't actually quite work out that way. So yeah, I'm kind of disappointed by Mantine in general in this league. Okay, next we move up to Blossom. Blossom is, I think, kind of falls into the same category as Mantine, in which there was quite some potential for it. Like I wrote the good things about it is its abilities. It gets Chlorophyll, which doubles speed in Sun, and it gets Healer, which sometimes heals a status condition of an ally. And as you can see at the bottom, the best play was against the Colorado Rock Slides. Why was that really good? Because I had my mill tank in there, and my mill tank got burned at one moment, and I don't think I ran Facade on it. So as I brought in Blossom, I was just hoping to get the burn heal, and eventually, I think after a turn or two, I got the heal, and from there on, Miltank could continue sweeping. So yeah, I think ability-wise, it's a great mon. It also has access to like things like Strength Sap, Sleep Powder, Quiver Dance. So move pool-wise, it's also quite nice. So yeah, the sleep I think is definitely something that Blossom has going for them. And yeah, what was I going to say? I was going to say something else about the sleep. Oh yeah, I think I ran a scope lens on it once to just make sure those sleep powders hit. But yeah, that didn't really quite work out, I think, because I still missed. Or no, I think it was against the Gengars, and they knocked off the scope lens. So in the end, I ended up missing. I think that was like in a game we played afterwards. After our match, actually. And yeah, and it's cute. I mean, Blossom is a cute mon. So that was also something, I guess, when drafting it. Then the bad things, typing-wise, grass type is just a bit rough. It was rough to use in this format. There was always like some thread somewhere, whether it was like a flying type, a bug type, or even like just a poison type, a fire type. There was always something that scared Blossom out, and yeah, defensive-wise, it's not the best mon. It's also not the worst, but I mean, once they double up on it, it's a gunner. So yeah, that was a bit of a letdown. So yeah, in the matchups, I didn't really have much potential for it because yeah, it would always come and then be there, kind of like also moving last if I didn't get the sun up. So yeah, I didn't see much opportunity for it to thrive. So also many of the games I just didn't bring it at all. So yeah, its potential got kind of lost because of every matchup I had. So I don't think Blossom was really among the best mons or the most memorable mons on the team. So yeah, maybe in a future season I would like to maybe draft it again, or yeah, I think maybe File Plume is a bit better than Blossom, obviously because of typing, and I think it gets like better bulk. So maybe I would go for Vileplume. I think that's also the reason I had to draft Blossom, because I actually first wanted Vileplume, but I got sniped. So I had to go with this. But yeah, I don't think it was really among the best months of my team. Good, let's move on to the next one. And that was Doktorio. Doktorio on first sight, it looks really good. I mean, it has an amazing ability with Arena Trap. It gets a lot of raw power. I mean, it's really strong. And it's really fast. Synergy-wise, it worked really well with Rotom on my team, because this Quake is obviously a thing in this kind of format. So yeah, I think Doktorio had a lot of potential again to do well on my team. But the bad things about it was, I mean, this is obviously in my opinion again, being hit by Fake Out in this format is really rough. If you cannot move first, you obviously find yourself losing a lot of momentum. And I think Doktorio kind of faced the same problem. I wanted it to deal damage fast, but if there was a mon with a Fake Out, then we had a problem. I kind of always wanted to use like something like a choiced item to do even more, like a choice band to do even more damage, or even like Life Orb. But if they faked this out, then that was kind of a problem. So I ended up protecting maybe, I think, most of the turns. And then the opponent had like this extra momentum to reset their strategies and think what they wanted to do in the next turn. And I think again, yeah, it had me second guessing while the opponent had the initiative. Obviously bulk wise, if it gets hit, it dies. So it kind of needed to run something like a focus sash to stay alive long. Which I think it was a thing I should have tried more often. I think maybe just risking Doktorio, risk it all and go hard. But I think it just didn't really fit my play style. I'm more of like, I think a bit of a balanced player where I kind of want to take a hit and then deal damage in return, whereas Doktorio is obviously a mon where you kind of want to just hit and go, right? So that didn't really quite work out for my team. So in some situations I just said, okay, this is not going to work, let's bench Doktorio for this one and deal damage with something else. Which are obviously the ones you'll see later on. I think the best usage of Doktorio though was in my game against the Slowpokes, because there I really ran this Quake mode to its full potential, I think, where it did a lot of damage, and I think together with the Rotom it was such a good combination against their team. I think in that game they also set the rain for themselves, for my team actually. So yeah, that made things so much easier for me. But yeah, in the end, I think I kind of wasted a lot of Doktorio's potential, because I was also still learning how to use it. I think Arena Trap is a great ability, preventing your opponent from switching out. But yeah, I think I could have used it better. Let's say that. So maybe, I mean, for future seasons, I doubt actually that I will draft it again. But Arena Trap is definitely something I liked about this mon. Okay, then number 7. This is kind of surprising, you might think, because I brought it a lot this month, Seismitoad. But if you'll hear me talk, maybe you'll get a bit of an understanding on why it's only 7th. The good things about it gets ground moves, and not just ground moves, but also its typing, which made it work well with Rotom. it could also be used as physical sweeper or a special sweeper. So I think that was really cool, because my opponent would always have to invest in either in both defense and special defense. So they would also need to guess at first, is this a special set or is this a physical set? Which I think is really good. A good offensive threat to have. Its abilities are just amazing, you know. Either the Swift Swim ability or the Water Absorb ability worked really well. So again, your opponent has to think, okay, can I really attack with a water move or not? And then if rain gets set, it's just really, really fast. And I think also for the bad things, I mean, it's the obvious. It's weak to grass ×4. So whenever a grass move comes, yeah, it's off the field, right? So I was often forced to just run Rindoberry, which is kind of sad, because it limits its potential as a sweeper. So bringing Life Orb or a choiced item on this thing is really risky, because you just risk everything with it. And that is also the reason why placement was a bit of a problem. If I would lead it, then I would have to often just run Protect on the first turn to scout for possible grass moves. Or if I would bring it in from the back, I would always have to think, okay, what is coming in? Is there something that could really damage Seismitoad? So I think that was a bit difficult. Another thing that was difficult was because it has Swift Swim, it's obviously very fast in rain, but you need a rain setter, and Mantine was my rain setter and Purlin was my rain setter. And well, Purlin was really good, I'm not gonna lie. In many situations, wasting a slot on Rain Dance for Purlin made it difficult for Purlin to be effective. So in many situations, I ended up not bringing Rain Dance, and that obviously limited the potential of Seismitoad. Another thing is it kind of lacks setup moves. I didn't really actually look around that much for setup moves on Seismitoad, because I just wanted to deal damage with it. But I think if it had more like boosting moves, it could be really cool to use. But I obviously for me it was often just running like either 3 damaging moves and Protect, or yeah, I think that was mainly what I did with Seismitoad. And yeah, that kind of was a problem, because obviously when you get debuffed by like a Snarl or a Charm or something, then you kind of have to switch out, and that was a problem for Seismitoad. The best plays I had was against the Pit-Offs. I think we did really well with Seismitoad. It worked well against their Lapras, which surfed. I think we had then Water Absorb, but yeah, be me not bringing it in game 3, which was a bit silly. Or wait, did I bring it? I think I might have brought it, but I think it got KO'd before Lapras came in, so yeah, that wasn't really clever either. And against the Slowpokes, I did. I think it did really well as well. So yeah, that was pretty good. Next is Mr. Mime. Mr. Mime is 6th spot. The good things about Mime was its ability to do Fake Out. Its move pool was, I mean, it's a Gen 1/1, so it gets crazy coverage, right? It has a ton of support moves, gets screens, gets Fake Out as I mentioned, gets things like Magic Room to remove the usage of items, Trick Room, it gets, what is it, Guard Swap and all that stuff. So yeah, crazy coverage. You can do pretty much whatever you want with this mon, and annoy your opponent. So support wise, it's like one of the best mons on my team. And its bulk is actually also quite good. It gets the ability Filter, which reduces the damage of super effective moves. So that was really, really cool. Then, yeah, the bad things about Mime was its typing. I think Fairy Psychic is actually a good typing, but being weak to poison and to steel was rough. Its bulk is good, but it's not the best bulk. So if they would double up or they had like a really good attack, then its Bismal HP would really let Mr. Mime down. And the second problem I had, you can see move pool again, is because you're kind of like forced with 4 moves on Mr. Mime. The 4-slot syndrome is a big issue for this mon. I always had like, okay, if I run these 4 moves, that's great, but I kind of want to use this move as well. And you face this problem a lot with Mr. Mime, I think, because you always want to do something else with it. So if I would run, I think, for example, I had sometimes Fake Out, Protect, Dazzling Gleam, and then an extra move that I wanted to use. But then there were like 3 other moves I also wanted to put in, and then I had to think, do I really want to protect? Do I really want to fake out? Do I really want this or that? And that was difficult with this mon. So yeah, I think in many situations, also during the battles, I was using Mr. Mime, and then in a situation I was like, okay, if I had brought this move, that would have been really useful now. So I think that's something I struggled with Mr. Mime, but I have to say it was a really cool mon to use. It was the first time drafting it, and I think I would draft it again because just it's very interesting to use. Oh yeah, I just remembered. Ally Switch was also really cool on Mr. Mime. You had like the option of using Ally Switch and White Guard together, and then your opponent would be in like always second guessing, like, okay, are they going to Ally Switch or are they going to White Guard? Which I think was really cool on Mr. Mime. The best play I think I had was against the Pit-Offs again. It's mainly because it was just supportively really well. I think I have to check that game again. I kind of forgot what happened exactly, but yeah, supportive wise I think it was a really good mon to use. Then we're halfway through. Next is Purlin. Purlin was the first mon I drafted because I really wanted to build a team around this mon. And it was really, really fun to use. I'm not gonna lie, this was definitely a fun league because of Purlin. Obviously because it has Prankster. That's the main reason you draft it, right? You want to get those support moves out first. And things like Fake Tears, things like Charm, Screech, like all these debuffing moves are really, really valuable for Purlin, and they really help the team because, as I said, Seismitoad setup-wise is a bit, disappointing. And I had the same problem with Magmortar, which you will see later. They don't really get any boosting moves, so having Purlin around to debuff the opponent was great. It also has Foul Play, which made use of the opponent's strength, which I think was usable many times. The thing was, I think in many situations I either ended up missing the mon I wanted to hit, or they switched out. But I think in general that was a good play to bring Foul Play, because it was very, it has a lot of potential. Then the bad things. Purlin has Fake Out, but it's one of the slower Fake Out users, so in many situations I didn't bring Fake Out, I just ran Protect as a way to stop Fake Outs from the opponent. And obviously it's bulk, it doesn't really have much bulk, which was a bit of a problem. But I mean, if you draft Purlin, you kind of have to live with that, right? It's a very frail mon. So it was always running Sash. I don't think I've run anything else on Purlin, and that's a little bit of a problem with it as well, because it's easy to predict. Your opponent always knows, okay, this thing runs Focus Sash. Even in situations where it could be EV Light, it didn't really have the bulk to take like more than 2 hits. So yeah, that was a bit of a downer with Purlin. But I think like the things you want with Purlin is you want to lead this mon, and you want to debuff your opponent as much as possible until your sweepers from the back come in. And I think it fulfilled that role really well. So I'm definitely not disappointed by this mon at all. Best play was against the Gankers. This is kind of a joke, because this was the game where I completely messed up. I genned the wrong ability on Purlin, and I ended up bringing Limber, which made my whole strat of running Sunny Day together with Blossom and dealing sleep damage was ruined. So yeah. Good. Then next is Slowbro. Slowbro Galler was one of the better mons on the team for sure, because it kind of like closed some of the gaps in my team bulk wise, because my team was often very frail, and Slowbro formed like the backbone in that team, because it could take some hits. And it was also offensive-wise, it was pretty good too. Not the best, doesn't deal a whole ton of damage, but after Purlin was able to debuff and then Slowbro was able to attack, I think it did quite a lot of damage. Its typing was great. I mean, Poison and Psychic is quite a good type. Its problem is just dealing with ground moves and dark moves, and I think ghost moves, but ghost was not that much of a problem, I think, because we had Miltank in the back. But yeah, ground was definitely a bit of a problem for Slowbro, and dark moves as well, because we didn't really have a good dark resist on the team except for Purlin, which is, I mean, not really a resist at all. And then move pool wise was great. Because again, it's Gen 1 just the Galar variant, but it gets pretty much the same move pool. And that also means the bad about it is the move pool, because again, you were forced with 4 moves. Obviously, sometimes I had to run either Protect, I think, or what else did I run? No, I think I did a Assault Vest every now and then as well. But still, you'd find yourself in a spot where you'd be like, okay, maybe I should have brought this. Yeah, which is obviously not the best situation to be in. And it's speed. In Trick Room, it's great, but my team is not the best. Was not the best in Trick Room. I'm not gonna lie. I should have prepared a better Trick Room mode when drafting this team. If I had a better Trick Room mode, I think Slowbro would have been way better and probably even higher up in this ranking. But yeah, many situations I didn't bring Trick Room, and then you kind of have to depend on Slowbro's ability, obviously, which is the quick draw, and that's situational. And if you don't get it, then you're in a bad spot. So again, we lose a bit of momentum there, and I think some of our opponents abused it really well, which I think was a downside on using Slowbro. Best plays, I think there's not really a game. I think Slowbro was like the star of the game, but I think I had some good switch-ins with it, like some good momentum switch-ins, even switching out, I think, Slowbro into maybe Rotom, I think it was, to evade some ground moves. Those kind of plays I think were really valuable from my team. Good, and then the top 3. The 3rd place goes to Miltank. Miltank, oh, yeah, this mon is so good. I really like Miltank. Miltank was such a good one. It has great bulk. It has recovery with Mill Drink. It can set up with Curse. It gets Facade, which is stab if you're burned, so that's great. Its abilities are amazing. I mean, Sap Sipper really helped out Seismitoad. And Scrappy dealing damage to ghost types was great because I didn't have a ghost type. So ghost types couldn't just switch into Miltank either. The problem with those abilities was I had to pick one of the two. Many teams brought a ghost type, and many teams also brought a big grass threat, so that was a bit of a problem. Yeah, but in total, I was really happy with this mon because it's also really fast. Its speed is great, though I wrote speed at the bad side because if you use Curse, obviously its speed goes down, and Curse is basically the best boosting move it gets. So to buff yourself up, you kind of need to run Curse. It also gets work up, but yeah, then you don't get the defense boost, which I think was really valuable for Miltank. Its typing was also a bit of a letdown. I mean, normal is good, but obviously you don't deal any like super effective damage. Yeah, I mean, you're weak to fight, and fighting mons were a big problem, I think, against our team. Because we had Slowbro, but fighting mons, for some reason, also get a lot of dark coverage, and yeah, you can see the problem there, I think, which was, yeah, a bit annoying. What else can I say about Miltank? Well, the best play was obviously against the Colorado Rock Slide Spear. We were able to set up with some curses and then deal a lot of damage with, I think it was Body Press and Body Slam. Yeah, Miltank really was a star of the show there. I would definitely draft this mon again. It's so much fun to use. So yeah, definitely worth of the top 3 spot in my team. Way to go, Miltank. Really like this one. Then second place goes to Magmortar. Magmortar is, I think, the second one I drafted. It had such good value for, I think it was like, I don't know how much points it was. It was really like in the lower tiers, and I don't know why. Because it's such a good mon. It gets amazing coverage. Its raw power, its special attack is crazy. You could even run it as a physical sweeper if you want to. It's such a like offensive threat for every team, and in this format there was quite a lack of good fire types in my opinion, and so drafting this mon early on was, I think, really good for our team. It became one of the backbones of the team. It would almost, I think it came almost every game, because it's just so good. It's also very valuable in weather, and my team, as I said, I had a weather mode obviously with Purlin being able to set both rain and sun, and it does well in both. Why in rain? Because it gets access to Weather Ball, and Weather Ball is just really good. So yeah, I think Magmortar was such a great mon on the team, that I can't like put it lower than top 3. The bad things about it though is it's a fire type, and you're weak to water, you're weak to ground, you're weak to rock, and those are all very common types and moves. And that was kind of the problem with Magmortar. Also, its speed it's not the fastest mon, so in situations where I wanted to go first, I often had to either run Protect or switch out, because I wasn't the fastest one on the field. And I think that has to do with the lack of speed control on the team. As I mentioned, we only had Mantine as a tailwind setter, which I think let down the team a little bit. And yeah, and the lack of boosting. Magmortar kind of faces the same problem as Seismitoad, where it kind of depends on Purlin to debuff, but it cannot really set up itself. It doesn't get any good boosting moves, which kind of like makes it prone to debuffing from the opponent. And yeah, just in general, once the opponent buffs itself up, it just doesn't deal the amount of damage you want it to do anymore. And then the best play, I think, was my Overheat Eject Pack set. I forgot which game that was. I think it was against the Gengars, where just one shot. I'm not sure if it was a Assault Fest Bassimian, but it definitely just one shot it, which was great. That was a great play. And yeah, it was fun to use because obviously your special attack drops, but you just swap out because of the eject pack, and then you can just do it again, which was really fun. It was a great play, I think. Magmortar I would definitely draft again. I really like this one, though I think maybe Magmar is also a good option next time because it can run Eviolite. It's obviously not that much of a threat, but I think value-wise it might also be really good to have. Good, and then we move on to the star of the team, which in my opinion was Rotom. Rotom was amazing. There's really little bad things to say about this one on my team because it was so versatile. It had so many options. You could run it as just a sweeper, right? You could buff it up with choice specs. It can run trick, so you can move away that specs if you need them, don't need them, and if you want them, then you just spam discharge and deal a ton of damage. It gets ground immunity, which is great for an electric type. It's basically a tiny Zapdos, right? It can also run a debuff set. It gets access to Eerie Impulse. It gets access to Will-O-Wisp. It can ally switch. It can do Electro Web. I mean, these things are really annoying to deal with. So even as a supportive mon, it was great. And then Choice Scarf. Choice Scarf was, I think I ran a set with Choice Scarf and Volt Switch to just swap out really fast, deal some damage, and then come again from the back once the threats are gone, and then just finish off the game, which I think it did really well in some games. And then the moveset, it's not really as bad as, like, for example, Slowbro and Mr. Mime were, but every week I was wondering, what should I bring this week on Rotom? Which I think, rather than being bad, it was kind of like a luxury, because you had so many potential with it, and you could do so many things with it. So yeah, I don't really think it was a bad thing to have so much options on this moveset, because I always in the end knew what I wanted to do with it, and it fulfilled the role it had to. I think there's only maybe one game I didn't bring it, and I think I ended up regretting it. So yeah, definitely Rotom Fan was my favorite mon this season, and yeah, I would definitely draft it again in a new draft league. The best play I think was against Kyogre Canucks, because it fulfilled its role perfectly there. So yeah, if you're interested, please watch that game again, because I think it was definitely one of the better Rotom games I played this season. So yeah, I think that was it for the Rotom. Yeah, okay, then let's move on to, because I now ranked them, but I don't think it really shows how well they were like tired out. So I made one more ranking slide, which you can see here, in which I ranked my mons from D tier to S tier, and yeah, obviously Mantine was in the D tier, because yeah, the lost potential, I think, probably not using that again in a composition as this, but maybe in a different type of composition. Then in the C tier, Doktorio and Blossom. In the B tier, Purlin, Mr. Mime, and Seismitoad. I mean, it's a bit rough on Purlin and Mr. Mime because they're obviously more supportive mons. So I mean, if this was purely like supportive wise, they would be S or A tier, obviously. Seismitoad was good, just like kind of in the middle, you know, somewhere in the center. And then the great offensive threats, Magmortar and Miltank, special and physical. And then bulk-wise, A tier is definitely Slowbro, was the best. But as I said before, I think the star of the team was Rotom, because it filled any team composition. I could use it offensive, defensive, or supportive. So I definitely think Rotom was my best mon. Good. Then next, the team review. Just a quick recap of everything I talked about. So I originally drafted my team as a weather team, but in the end I rarely brought weather, so that's why I put the question mark at the end, because I think I brought weather to maybe 2 or 3 of my games in total. Which was a bit funny, because I originally drafted this team to just, yeah, let's go hardcore rain, let's go hardcore sun, and let's go mad. But in the end I didn't, which is funny, because my goal of this season was to do more different plays, not always bring the same thing. And yeah, drafting a rain team and a sun team makes it kind of hard to do different things. So I challenged myself to do different things, which in the end I think I did, but it kind of defeated the purpose of drafting a weather team, which in my opinion is a bit funny. Next is offensive. Offensive, I think this team was quite good offensively, because I wanted to draft more offensive than usual, which I think with the Purlin I did pretty well. But then my problem was, did that fit my defensive playstyle? And I don't think it did. I think you could see why Miltank really did well on this team, because I like more defensive sets. I like setting up and then dealing damage. And yeah, I think that's why mons like Miltank did really well, and mons like Seismitoad didn't do so well. Support-wise, I think the team was great. Obviously, Rotom was my number one, but also Mr. Mime, I think, surprised me as a really good support mon. I think my team struggled against debuff. Yeah, I think it was against the Pidovs, where we were debuffed like crazy. And yeah, that was a bit of a problem. So I think I learned from there that I should also bring some debuff on my team every game to kind of like threaten the opponent. So that was definitely a valuable lesson I learned. And then in the end, I think the team was really versatile. I think my goal of playing more versatile sets was kind of completed this season. I think I worked really hard on doing different things with the help of some people, which I will talk about later. Well, very soon actually. But yeah, versatility-wise, I think our team was really good. We did lots of things. We never really brought the same thing every week. So I think that was great. In general, I would score this team. I mean, we ended up like top 8. Yeah, if 5 stars was max, maybe like 2.5, 3 stars, something like that, for the whole season. Because I think like some losses, 1 or 2 losses were a bit RNG based, which was a bit rough. But yeah, I think in general the team was okay. Though there's, for myself personally, still a lot to learn about the game and different sets and different mons. So yeah, there's still like lots of room for improvement. Good, and then some shout outs. I first want to thank all the people in the league. I've been a moderator for this league, and playing against everyone has been really fun. Also the people I didn't play against, I want to thank, because I mean, without all of you guys, the league wouldn't have been the same. So thanks for being part of it, and thanks for making the league fun, and I hope you guys are all joining again for future seasons of TTR, because it's been great playing with you guys. Especially BadBack, he helped me a lot. He's the coach of our Sacramento Sandslash, right? Yeah, he's always great. He always helps me out a lot. He's been helping me prep for every game. If I had a question, he would always answer it with the best opinion he could give. We did some mock battles as well, I think. I'm not sure about TT though, maybe not. But in different leagues, we've been helping me out as well. So thank you, BadBack. It's always great to have you around. Next person I want to thank is Matrix. Matrix also, same as with BadBack. He helps out with whatever question I have. He has so much knowledge about the game in general. You know, he knows everything. Our coach of the Welsh Whale Lords, right? So yeah, him being around makes my life so much easier, because if I have a question or there's something about a move, does that move work, does that move not work, he will always know the answer and help out. Great guy. His videos are great too, so please check out his channel. Same with BadBack, by the way. They both bring a lot of really good content. Please watch their channels. I'll leave descriptions in the link below so you guys can check them out as well if you don't have the link yet. And then some other coaches. I also want to thank our Rylex, Operator, and Fayak, because they've also been helping me out with team building. We all played in the same league, and even though we played against each other, they were always helpful to help me prep against different opponents. So yeah, thank you guys. You were really helpful, and I hope we can discuss future sets again in the future about different leagues and stuff like that. So I hope to see you guys again in the next season as well. Thank you. And then kind of want to talk about what is next. We're at the end of the video now. I wrote down ambitions versus reality. My ambitions are obviously, I mean, for any draft league coach, is to win a league, obviously. But we have to face reality that we're still not quite there yet. We still have a lot to learn. We still have way more things to learn in terms of like putting EVs on mons, finding the right move set, predicting what the opponent can do. I think one of my biggest flaws right now is being able to read the game plan of my opponent and seeing what they want to do. If I get more experience, I think I can fix this issue. The problem is reality. Being busy in real life, and things are going to get even more busy very soon. That is a bit of a problem, obviously. I often find myself thinking, pondering throughout the day, like, oh, what should I use in my next game and stuff like that. But yeah, the lack of knowledge, of general Pokemon knowledge, pulls me down quite often, and I find myself surprised by some things my opponent brings. So in the end, when I plan for something, I usually forget about other things that my opponent can do. So I think in the future, I really want to learn more about Pokemon abilities and different move sets in general, so that I can actually fulfill my ambition to win a league, which would be great. I wouldn't be able to do it by myself, so I would definitely need support of other coaches to help me with that. But it would be fun, and it's definitely a goal for the future. Let's see, what else did I want to talk about? Ambition-wise, I don't think necessarily anything anymore. So let's move on to formats. What formats do I still want to play? Well, definitely, I think I'm kind of done with max formats. This no max format has been so much more fun. I'm not that much of a max fan anymore. I used to play max leagues, which was really fun, but I've noticed that in the no max format, it's so much more about strategy. It's so much more about your game plan, which I think is really fun. It's almost like a max league is something completely different. You're playing like a different kind of game, in which you just try to stop your opponent's max, or you just get the most value out of your own max, which I think is like completely different from what we've been doing this season in Thrifty Tussle. Then, yeah, what formats I would like to play. I'd really liked the low tier league, so the next TGR league is going to be not fully evolved, which I think is really fun. Or Little Cup, that was also really fun. So something like this I would definitely like to play again, but also I think just regular VGC sounds like a lot of fun, so you might see me back bring content of these kinds, these types of leagues. So that's definitely something I'm going to keep on playing. And then last you can see a hiatus. Why? Because of something big is going to happen in my private life soon. And it's going to, I think, mess up my time schedule. Yeah, quite severely. So I might not be back next season in TGR. We'll see about it. It kind of depends on how much time I can get out of the day in total. It might be rough at the start, but I think maybe later on in the year you'll see me back with more content. It really kind of depends. I'm not going to say anything right now because the changes are about to happen, but they haven't happened yet. So yeah, that's basically it. And I think that was the last thing I wanted to say. So if you're still here, thank you for watching this video. It was a lot of fun for me to play in Thrifty Tussle. And yeah, I really hope I can play in a league like this again, because it was a lot of fun. So yeah, that's it. Thank you for watching. If you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, please do. It would be really fun to have you around, and I would appreciate your subscription. And if you didn't, I mean, just thank you for watching in general, you know. All right, that's it. See you again in the future. Have a good one. Goodbye.